Welcome back to Way Out of Left Field. We are Leanne and Brent, and this summer we hit the road for the adventure of our lifetime. Together with our chocolate lab Casey, we are traveling from the west coast of British Columbia all the way to the Yukon and back. And this is the third video documenting our journey. So if you haven't seen the first two, I'll put a link in the description and you can go back and watch it. Guess what, folks? We're in Dawson City. This is the furthest north that we're going, about 3,000 kilometers from our starting point. But the history and the significance of this unique city drew us to come here and spend several days exploring the routes, the landmarks, and the culture. July 7th, we left Tatchin Creek, knowing that the drive to Dawson was going to be a fairly long one, and from the roads that we had seen getting on the Klondike Highway, we expected frost heaves and potholes, but little did we know. What started out as an almost equal parts pavement and potholes turned into three separate sections of road construction, roughly 56 kilometers in total. The degree of washboard mixed with soft, sandy mud meant that our truck and little trailer were reduced to 20 kilometers an hour, maybe, of bone-shaking travel. So our 4-hour drive turned into a 6-hour drive. And when we pulled into the Klondike River campground, we were about as shook up as the vehicle was. A quick setup, cold beer, a deep breath, and we decided to just focus on the adventures ahead and not on the road that we were going to have to turn around and leave on. So the next day we headed into Dawson, and as is our usual routine, the first stop was the visitor center. This is where we learned that a large number of the buildings in town are owned and operated by Parks Canada, and that there are guided tours of many of the sites. So, after getting an idea of the layout of the land, we stopped at the Dawson City Museum to have a look around. And then right next door was the train museum. You know, I think that there's something about trains that brings out a little bit of the kid in a lot of men. We chose the Robert Service cabin as our first to enjoy a guided tour. Our interpreter, Nicholas, was absolutely fabulous, and we really felt as though Robert himself was there reading us his poems. The guided walking tour took us along wooden boardwalks and gave us an exclusive look inside some of the historic buildings, like the British North America Bank that was built in 1896, and the extremely grand Canada Post Office that was built in 1900, and the Red Feather Saloon, built in 1902, and where many a miner would have spent his riches. And we learned about the challenges of building a complete town on marshland with constant permafrost. You see, because the town didn't really exist prior to the gold rush, a few very entrepreneurial individuals decided to buy up land, build homes and businesses that the miners who found gold would spend their money on, and overlooked the fact that the site chosen was a swampy moose pasture and that the permafrost would cause all the structures to bend and sink into the ground. And today, many of the buildings are a testament to those conditions. Then we took a ride on the Klondike Spirit paddle wheeler and got an opportunity to see the town from the water and experience how many people would have traveled into and out of the city of Dawson along the Yukon River. We rode past the paddle wheeler graveyard, where many old paddle wheelers that had braved the harsh conditions were later left to die. And we saw the village of Moosehide, where, as the town of Dawson began to grow, the Klondike Quechin people were relocated to. Casey got to spend time each day in the Dawson City off-leash dog park, which he found to be very fun. But it seemed like a place that the local bears were enjoying as well, so we tried not to linger for too long there. We took a drive up to the Midnight Dome, where the panoramic views of Dawson City, the Klondike Valley, the Yukon River, and surrounding mountains are absolutely incredible. However, on the day that we went up, the smoky skies made the visibility quite hazy and rather limited. But even still, it was a very unique place to take in the spectacular views. Back in town, we went on a tour of the Palace Grand Theater and got to see the beautiful inside, as well as hear some of the crazy stories of the colorful and famous characters who owned the theater and who performed there as well. We also got to hear a little bit of how business was done at the
A little bit
time.
of a double life here in the theater. Some of them would go to bed. The leading lady would often continue on with whatever her plans were for the night. The band would take a break, and then they'd strike back up. The girls would move all the chairs out of the way, and they would begin dancing. You could go. It's full price for 2 drinks. She just gets iced tea or water in hers because she's got to keep going the whole night. She gets a stipend for how much booze she's able to peddle, as well as how many tokens she's able to collect, which
Another of Parks Canada sites was Dredge Number 4. This dredge was constructed in 1912 and ran until 1959. It was the largest wooden-hulled bucket dredge in North America, standing 8 stories high and two-thirds the size of a football field. Dredge number 4 produced approximately 9 tons of gold during its lifetime. Now, the Sourdough Saloon was an establishment that we had heard a lot about, and while the ambiance and decor were historic and fun, that wasn't what it was famous for. Believe it or not, this place got its reputation for serving a special and very unique cocktail. Wanting to join the exclusive club, Brent was given a glass of Yukon Jack whiskey and awaiting his turn to be called up, where Captain Terry placed none other than a human frostbitten toe in his glass, read him the rules, and once the ritual was completed, provided him with a certificate.
Okay, Brent, are you ready? I'm ready. Paparazzi ready? Here you go. You can drink it fast. You can drink it slow. But your lips must touch this gnarly toe. Feet, tongue, mouth, scalp. Come on. To the back. You've got it. There it is. Here's the evidence of severe folly. And welcome. Hold on.
Afterwards, Brent celebrated his membership in the Sourdough Cocktail Club, and I celebrated having escaped without any dead toes touching any part of my lips. Now, later that night, we did, as every visitor to Dawson City is advised to do, we visited Diamond Tooth Gertie's. The show was a lot of fun. The dancers were excellent, and Gertie herself was amazing. It was absolutely worth staying up past our bedtime for. Dawson City turned out to be a little town that really grew on us, and we fully enjoyed our time there. But we had a lot more stops on our itinerary, and so it was time to leave. Unfortunately for us, the road forward was also the road we came in on, and so Anticipating the 56 kilometers of road construction, we decided to break up the journey and make a 2-night stop at a campground near the little town of Mayo, where we would spend some time learning about the Silver Trail. If you want to hear more about the rest of our journey, you're going to have to stay tuned for the next video. So, thanks for watching.